spoiler, he will find out who he is this season. We will reveal that. I always love watching fans sort of try to figure out like sort of what we're going to put in what season, because people know the Legendarium. That's always fun. It's fun to see people sort of like thinking about the stranger and who the stranger could be, and having like all the various justifications they'll have from the lore. But I mean, there's tons of fan theories. It's hard to pick a favorite. But like, one of the parts that I found really harrowing was being in the actual ADR booth where you're doing sound afterwards. And we said to Markella, we want you to scream like you're choking on sand. And so she screamed like, I mean, it was blood curdling to hear you screaming, and because it felt like you were choking, and it was like, oh, like it was uncomfortable to experience, even in that part. And then once that sound is layered against those visuals, it all builds to a scene that I think has some real power to it.
Hi guys, my name is Dishya and you're watching News 18 India. And today we have with us the team of Rings of Power. I want to start off my questions with you. You had visited India during the first season and you shared the stage with Hrithik and Tamanna. After the whole press conference got over, I was very curious. Did you all get a chance to discuss possible cameos of both the actors? It's a very inclusive show. Why not?
That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah?
Didn't end up talking about it then, but it's certainly open to it.
Did you discuss any other opportunities beyond the show with them for collaboration?
No. It was sort of a whirlwind trip. We were there, and there were rickshaws and sights and sounds and people, and it was really an amazing experience. And we loved the welcome we received. It was just so joyous.
So amazing. So all three of y'all, was there a cultural shock that y'all had when y'all visited India?
I'm fortunate. I've done quite a lot of traveling. I'd never been to India before, though. So there was definitely the culture is so vibrant and so beautiful. And everyone, I think the excitement, you could just really feel the excitement and the energy from everyone.
It was the best welcome.
And it was just so, you sort of blasted with welcome.
When I'd watched all the promotional videos that happened during the first season, I was preparing for the second. I came across you telling about how your roommate or your flatmate had reacted to the news that, you are getting into the show.
How did my housemate react? I can't even remember now. What did I say?
That she was just screaming and she was very excited about you getting into the...
Yeah, I can't even... Because I didn't tell anyone. I was really scared to tell anyone. But when it finally came out, I think she must have been so excited. Yeah. I'm sure.
So that's what I wanted to ask all three of y'all. What was the wildest messages y'all got after the season premiered and, the whole Sauron entrance?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, this one wasn't particularly wild, but this was the most heartwarming, if that would, be something to share. I got a message from someone who told me that he had 3 children and he had read Lord of the Rings to his boys growing up, and they'd always loved it. And he tried reading it to his daughter, but she hadn't really gotten into it. And then she happened to sit down and watch the pilot of our show, and from the beginning, she just got hooked on it. And that the two of them had actually been able to sit down and watch the whole show together, and that she was about to go off to university, and that this was the last thing they would do as father and daughter before she went to college. He said, "Thank you for giving me an opportunity to connect with my teenage daughter over something that we could both love and share together."
So lovely.
That's so
lovely.
Sweet.
And I just felt like, okay, mission accomplished.
Yeah.
That's
Nice.
what the show does, and
Literally.
brings parents together and brings generations together, and we couldn't ask for anything more.
Yeah.
What about both of you?
I feel like, a couple family members watched it and really loved it. I've gotten some really nice messages from people that I don't know that have really kind of connected to it. But I try and stay offline in the sense of looking too much about how people have responded. I mainly just, it's mainly just feedback from friends who have seen it, and it's been really lovely.
Yeah, I think for me it's mainly been like personal interaction. So, for example, we've just been to Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of sort of like fan meetings, and seeing someone in a cosplay of a Harfoot, it's just so, to be one example, is just so heartwarming, and it just means so much. And that was, you could really feel the love and connectivity within that room of, how much I think this world and Tolkien's world just influences people's lives, and that's a really, really special thing.
Since you mentioned fans in Comic-Con, what is your favorite fan theory for all three of you all?
I don't know. I don't read any.
His smile is.
What's your fan?
I mean, you know, I always love watching fans sort of try to figure out like sort of what we're going to put in what season, because people know the Legendarium. That's always fun. It's fun to see people sort of like thinking about the Stranger and who the Stranger could be, and having like all the various justifications they'll have from the lore. But I mean, there's tons of fan theories. It's hard to pick a favorite.
Since you mentioned Stranger, I was going to ask, there's the biggest fan theory is Gandalf. So what is your take on it?
Oh, I have seen that one,
We've noticed that one out there around. But I'd say what it is that the audience is going on the audience is going on the same journey that the Stranger is going on. The Stranger doesn't know who he is, but he's come to Middle Earth and he knows he has a purpose. And the audience is joining him as he figures out what are his powers? How does he control his powers? Why was he sent here? How is he supposed to use his powers? You know, who is he supposed to fight? All those things. And spoiler, he will find out who he is this season. He will reveal that.
It's going to be a very fun season on Reddit.
But I think people should go on the journey with him as a journey of self-discovery. The name is like the cherry on top of the sundae. It's not the ice cream.
So my last question to all three of y'all is that in the second episode, there is this phenomenal scene, cinematography. It was brilliant, where I'm not going to explain the scene, but it involves a lot of wind and a lot of sand.
Yes.
So could you tell me, how many retakes was that? Like, I'm sure it must have been a very difficult scene to shoot.
Yeah, well, that scene we did half in studio and half on location. We were on wires for some of that. Studio stuff.
Yeah, for the end bit, for just like the little end bit. But we were mainly on location. Right?
Yeah, and that whole scene took a week to film.
Yeah.
Basically.
It was amazing.
Excluding the studio days, which was 2 extra days, I think. So, yeah, it's but also because when you've got scale as well, that immediately sort of doubles the time that like a scene will take. But also that scene is so long and there's so many dimensions to it too. You've got to
beautiful scene.
I mean, you know,
lovely
credit to the writing.
But acting, writing, the way it's shot.
It's also funny. It's funny the parts of things that stay with you in the process. Like, you know, I think the actual shooting was interesting. But like, you know, one of the parts that I found really harrowing was being in the actual ADR booth where you're doing sound afterwards. And you know, we said to Markella, we want you to scream like you're choking on sand.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, and you know, so she screamed like. I mean, it was blood curdling to hear you screaming, and because it felt like you were choking, and it was like, oh, like it was uncomfortable to experience, you know, even in that part. And then once that sound is layered against those visuals, it all builds to a scene that I think has some real power to it.
It's so funny because when I did that, because I had the headphones on, I couldn't actually hear what it sounded like to be in the room. But
no, and I still think when I watch that scene, I still think of you. I'm like, oh, it's yeah.
Wow.
Fun.
All right, thank you so much for talking to me, and all the best for the new season.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.